to know enough. Too old to play the part, too cool for showing up. Too dumb to say what's smart, so I'm a substitute waiting for the game to start. But I ain't trying to get played like change your heart. And may I park and find me another ride. I'm letting Florence tell you how I feel inside.
Okay, so this is a form of argumentation that, well, just like it says, appeal to authority. So when someone uses or tells you something is true because an authority figure has said it, regardless of whether or not they've done the research, or regardless of whether or not they've studied a specific topic, they'll just automatically believe whatever an authoritative figure or what they believe is an authoritative figure in a specific field thinks. So we saw this a lot when in 2020, right? Where people told you just trust the experts, just believe X, Y, and Z. It's almost like what they're doing is they're telling you to turn your brain off. Like, how do experts become experts? Well, they read papers, they study things. So you can become an expert if you know what data to look at, if you know where to look, if you search for things. Like, I don't understand like how this is such a good, and a lot of people do it just because of confirmation bias. And what I mean is they want to believe a specific thing because because they already believe it, or this person that they look up to, or a particular party, political party says it's true, so therefore it must be true. Instead of taking their bias out of it as much as they can, and looking at things from a top-down perspective to where you can try to see everything that's going on. They'll only, trust a specific person because it's that person, not because they've looked into it themselves or they've done their research on their own. And I always thought it was funny when people almost tried to make it like a dig when people have like, oh yeah, this person, they looked into it themselves, or they, I forgot how it was like worded. It was almost like a form of not bullying, but denigration. Like they were trying to be like, oh yeah, they've done their own, do your own research. That they made fun of people who did their own research, which, yeah, why wouldn't you want to do your own research? Do you just trust that whatever anybody says? And the same people will criticize people, church authority figures, and they'll say, well, why would you believe them? Like, well, why would you believe this scientist over that scientist? And like, there's so many things out throughout history that you can look at. Like, it's whoever has the money a lot of times controls the narrative. And, back in the 50s and earlier, I mean, doctors would say this cigarette is the best and it's the most toasty and it's this and that. And they were paid by the companies that put out these sold cigarettes. So yeah, that's something to look out for when somebody says, well, you should just trust them. They're the expert. Well, let me look into it, and then I can tell you whether or not I trust them or not. So yeah, that's the appeal to authority fallacy. I don't know why, but I've gotten back into logical fallacies. I used to study a lot when I was into philosophy, but you might see a couple videos down the pipeline of logical fallacies. So if that's something you're into, then cool. If not, well, maybe you'll like the next video. Maybe it'll be different.